6:11, and we will call this meeting to order. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have the Cultural Council appointments. I apologize that we are off schedule. I'm a timely person.
We have a request from the Cultural Council to appoint 2 new members. The first one is Carolyn Dunlap Scheiding. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Scheiding, sorry.
It's okay.
She's here in case the board has any questions of her. And the second person we have is Vandana Sinha. Am I saying that correctly?
That's correct, thanks.
Thank you. And she is present also to answer any questions the board may have of her.
Are these vacant spots or?
Cultural Council is short on members.
Okay. So are we replacing somebody or just adding more to fill those spots?
They're vacant
Okay,
spots.
I just wanted to make sure.
And this will be appointment through June 30th of 2022.
Okay.
I don't know if the board would like them to introduce themselves, say a
Yes,
little bit about
definitely.
themselves. What I'm going to do is I'll vacate so they can come in. That way the camera can catch their comments.
Who would like to
You
go
want to step
first?
up? You can come together.
No. Okay, what do we do?
You just pull the
Right.
chair over. You guys
Oh,
can both
okay.
come together.
Okay, over to where, here?
Right there's fine.
All right, sounds good.
Don't be camera shy.
I am.
I think it's best to just pretend it's not there.
Okay.
So who wants to go first? Just tell us a little about yourself.
You go first, please. My name is Carolyn Dunlap. I'm originally from Tacoma, Washington. I moved here 20 years ago and been here ever since. I love it here. It's a great little town. I'd like to see some fun things happen.
How'd you hear about the Cultural Council?
My husband.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, my name is Vandana Sinha. I recently moved from San Francisco, California. I love this town. This town has a very cool vibe, and I would love to be a part of the Cultural Council and bring value and create an impact for the community. I work in tech. I work for the Community Foundation of Western Massachusetts. I am a business analyst. I gather data, analyze them, present the findings to the right people at the right time for good decisions to be made. And I'd love to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Two West Coast people.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Moved from beautiful San Francisco all the way here to New England.
I'd move to New England too. San Francisco's going to be in the ocean soon.
It's a beautiful city.
Yes,
It is.
So, do either of you have any questions for these
I have
ladies?
a question. You both said you love the town.
Why?
What do you love about it?
I like the idea that it's small. It's very friendly. It's really not close to anything, but it's kind of centrally located. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can get to anywhere I need to go, but it's not like I have people going through my backyard or, anything like that. That's one of the things I like about it. No stoplights. Oh, there's one.
There's one.
There is one.
Yeah, I have one Lincoln one. Yeah.
Is the blinking one there?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you guys get anything planned coming up? The council?
I don't know. This is the
We haven't
first I've-
even appointed them yet.
Oh.
We
That
have to
question.
schedule our voting meeting. The applications open up September 1st, they close October 15th.
Okay.
So after that, we will all have access to the panel, which is just the slew of the applications. And then we'll vote probably about Thanksgiving time.
Excellent.
What was your answer?
My answer is I like the small community. It's easier to create an impact in a small community rather than in a big city like San Francisco, right? It takes time, but I mean, obviously it's a great city, so yeah. And also the people, the friendliness, the proximity to everything, like my friend said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the educational,
Big college area.
all the big colleges are right here. If I want my future kids to go somewhere
Yeah.
close, I can just send them.
I think I was taken by the fact that you said we had a cool vibe. I don't think anybody's ever said that about Granby before. And I love it.
Yeah.
That's good. All right.
All right, well, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint the two people in front of us because they can't pronounce your names.
Is it okay if I ask a
Yeah.
question?
Sure.
We introduce ourselves. We would like you to introduce yourself.
Absolutely.
Fair, that's
Thank you.
fair. That's fair.
We don't like
Equality.
questions.
I mean, I'm reading name tags, but.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Up there in the right spot.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. My name's Glenn Sexton. Obviously, I'm part of the select board.
Oh, we're gonna save the best for last. Go ahead.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to go last.
Ha ha ha.
I'm the new person on the board. My name is Richard Bowyer. It's pleasant to meet you guys. So
Nice to meet you.
You as well.
And I'm Jen Silva. I'm the one whose term is up this year. So I'm also part of the select board, clearly. I'm the chair of the select board. And I think, with the exception of Rick, I have lived here the longest. He's the newbie for all of us.
I'm the newbie with 25 years.
Okay.
I have 43. He's got even more.
It's not a competition.
And I'm not going to say
I'm just stating a fact,
Put 'em
that's all. But
them all together.
Honestly, it's interesting to hear some of the comments that you made about the town, stuff like that, why you like living here, what you see and stuff like that, because those are some of the same things I feel and I've felt when I first moved here. So it's nice to see that what I felt, 25 years ago, someone's still talking about it, how they feel when they first came here. So it's nice to hear that.
And I think it's more some things that I kind of overlook because it's just normal to me. So it's kind of nice to hear it.
Spend some time in the city. You'll
I don't do
appreciate it a
cities.
lot.
I don't do cities at all. I don't like people and I don't like traffic.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hence the reason that I'm here.
that'll do it.
I spent a short time in San Francisco. It's a beautiful city. I loved it up there.
Where exactly?
Huh?
Where?
Well, actually, I was just south of it at Santa Cruz.
Oh, Santa Cruz. Oh my gosh, amazing place. That was our vacation spot every weekend. Weekend
Yeah.
warriors.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I will second Rick's motion.
Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
I'm hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations and thank you too.
Thank you. That's
Thank
all
you
done.
guys.
You're all set.
Pretty painless, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No torture techniques involved?
Thank you, guys. You're all set.
Thank you, you're all
Okay.
set.
Thank you.
I'll get out there and start making a difference.
All right. Good evening.
You
Good
too.
night.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good night.
All righty, so 6:15, we have the Annex offices discussion. Chris, are you coming back to us, or are you gonna?
No, I figure I'll leave it vacant in case anybody wants to address the board.
Okay, perfect, that works. So, at one of our last meetings, I don't remember the exact one, but we had discussed potentially moving the Annex offices into the old library. And we wanted members of that building talk about it. I'm wondering if maybe, I don't know, so do you guys want to come up and? Yeah, as long as you don't mind sitting side by side, I mean. You work side by side, I guess.
Yes, so pros and cons.
Thank you.
Why?
Sure. And you made the font good for me.
So we're actually here hoping that the board will consider to renew the contract. Because the annex serves the residents, the voters very well for the situation that the town has to deal with buildings. I have a big concern with the air quality at the old library, even though I know they did some splits and some stuff in there. I've worked in there with early voting. It is musty, and I have concerns with the records that The town has refurbished over the years, which was over $33,000 worth of records that I would hate to see get compromised going into a building that doesn't have the proper air quality. I mean, until the town gets a building where we have a proper vault, we need to try to keep these records in the driest environment possible. So that is one of my concerns going over there. And you look at the space and size, you guys really have to do a walkthrough, because you don't realize all these records we have to keep for retention that have to be locked up, all the ballots from elections that I can't get rid of until 2 years, dog records I have to keep for 7 years. I have all upstairs, the tax collector, the assessors, we have all papers we have to keep till we can get the proper time frame to get rid of them. If we move over to the old library, you're gonna have to rent a pod or do something, because the records have to be available to us as well. I mean, putting them in a musty area at West Street isn't gonna help. I can't put the ballots anywhere, those have to be locked up. Those can't, they're locked up after election and they're not touched until I can get rid of them. Or there's a recall or whatever, a recount. So you're not considering all the things we have to keep upstairs. You're only looking at the office space. There's that concern. And then there's, my election equipment. I have poll pads, I have the handicap machine, I have my ballot boxes. Well, I have 2 ballot boxes actually stored at the old library, which I think that's fine being stored there. And I have 2 in my office. But if we move all the offices in there, we're not going to be able to store all this stuff. So where's all my election equipment going to go? Now, I know Jeremy has some of my equipment that I use outside at West Street, which is fine. But I would not feel comfortable putting the ballot boxes and that over at West Street. They're going to compromise equipment that is costly. And we can't afford to do that.
What about West Street would compromise the equipment?
I would not put the ballot boxes over there.
Why?
Because, I mean, it's still, the air in there is not good. So after a while, it's going to probably ruin it. I mean, you put the ballots in, it's going to, it's just equipment that should be kept.
I know you're asking ballot boxes. Have you guys maybe discussed doing a floor plan yet of what you guys are even thinking?
Well, that's actually what we wanted you here for, was what you would need to move over. It really wasn't a discussion of if you were moving over, it's what you would need to move over.
Yeah.
Well, so still, we have to have rooms that lock and secure.
Yeah.
You can't just have petitions where somebody can push a wall over. I mean,
did you think about, are we putting up 2x4 walls? Are we?
So, again, we haven't really talked much about what would happen there. It was more to see what would be needed to move into it. And then, if that's something that we can do, and we can make it work for you, that's something we can consider.
Right.
However, if it's something that we can't do, or it's not feasible for us to do, then that's something we wouldn't do. But we wanted to look at it as a possibility, to say, is it possible? Let's look at it. If there's ways we could somehow save the town money, let's look at that. We're not saying it's gonna work. We're not saying it's not gonna work. We wanna look at it.
This was brought up 6 years ago. I wrote a letter to the select board 6 years ago with my concerns of the records and that. And so then the contract was renewed, with the hopes that West Street, at that point, we knew that we were eventually going to be moving the children out. So, I mean, there's been 6 years since this has been brought up again. So I don't know why we haven't come up with some better plan after 6.
When did you bring up that concern and about what building? The
July
old library,
31st.
or are you talking about
July
West Street?
31st, 2015, I sent a letter to the select board because that was a possibility. Supposedly Mary Jo Monnier wasn't going to
Renew the lease.
renew it, but she said she would. And so when there was the thought that she wasn't going to renew it, that came up of, well, maybe we could use that. But she did renew the lease, so it worked out to our benefit. But,
So
I mean,
I was gonna, like, ideally, if you guys wanna come over and see what we actually use for storage, she probably does use the most. She has the biggest office and stuff. Currently, my storage upstairs, we did just have a shredding event, that I don't have as much as there was. I mean, it was just boxes and boxes and boxes. So like currently it's like maybe one wall for me, but even in my own office, I have at least, a couple of closets that are just full of envelopes that, the amount of mailings that go out and stuff. So, I mean, I'm totally willing to go and look and discuss, and you guys can come and look and see ideally, your own opinions too.
Right.
But we also use the basement as well.
right.
At the old telephone company. So we have the second floor, we have our own offices for storage, and then we also use the basement as well.
Right. And there's just so much more that has to be, like, so the unit that I keep the books in, I have to hire the company to take that down. We don't have the ability, that has to be taken down because it's a unit that swings around twice. I just got a price on that, and that's almost $2,900 to have them take it down and rebuild it for me over wherever we go. So, and then you have to get the state involved because I'm on a whole different thing with the state. We have to have a secure place for the system I use on the state. So we really do have to make sure that wherever you decide you want to move us, that there's enough room and it's securely locked. So, and the other thing with the old library is it really serves a really good purpose right now. The planning board, conservation use it, Jeremy has his office downstairs, it's great, it's good for early voting. You really hate to take the charm out of that building where we are putting Band-Aids on things, and we need to start focusing on what we should do to either try to get us all together.
And
that is what we're
thought
focusing
about
on.
here, maybe senior center in the library, and then all of us under one roof would be amazing.
That's the one thing I don't think we can do. The library is not handicapped accessible.
Yes, it is.
Not comfortably.
Well, you still would have to get an elevator
Downstairs.
if you did like the senior center, but they don't cook here. You could take different offices. If you really don't want to do a lease over, you could take the select board's office and put all upstairs over there because they have less traffic than we, and we could move here, but then again, you have the problem with the senior center, and then you'd have to outreach to another community. So
The end goal is to put us all under one roof.
What's that?
The end goal is to get us all under one
So
roof.
has anybody ever thought of putting modular type of buildings right along that we own over here? I mean, I'm kind of looking at like, if you could extend over there on the left side.
Kathy, I guess where we are now, we're just talking about stuff.
Well, I'm
No,
throwing out suggestions,
and
that's all.
I appreciate that, and I like that idea, really kind of talking about that, I like that, so that's kind of what we're talking about, is that we're not saying, and no one here is saying that we're moving anybody. It was just an idea that came up, so let's look at it, see if it's feasible for us to do it. If it is, that's what we look at. If it's not, then it's not.
Right.
And that's, again, some of the reasons why you're here now, to kind of talk to us about
Right.
what happens there, because we don't know the square footage that you need to accomplish the work that you have, and the storage you need, and so on and so forth, as you talked about. So, I know it's not just speaking myself, but the board, we're not looking to move people just to move people. We're looking at something to say, well, does it work?
Right.
Is it, to me, is it the right thing to do?
Right.
Because we're paying for renting or leasing, or however, depending on how you want to look at it, a building for offices, and if we have the ability to take that off our expenses for some time, we may be able to, like you said, maybe look at building a module or something like that.
Right.
But those are possibilities that, maybe we look at, like you said, maybe the old library. We had if we had an architect go in there and look at everything and say, look, I can do this for you, I can set it all up and be like, wow, that's incredible. Or someone could say,
Right.
no, there's nothing you can do, really, we can't. The ceilings are too high, you spent all that money with we just had, I know, through grants, but we had the lighting all done, stuff like that. The AC units, it may be too expensive to make things work the way we're talking about. But again, we need to look at possibilities for
Well,
us.
yeah, and I think what you guys got to do is to we'll just do a walkthrough with everything, so you actually see what we have to have to deal with. Because there's a lot more than just when you walk in
Oh, I'm
to
sure.
the offices,
Yeah.
so. And
Which is
it's,
why we needed to see what you would need, to see if we can.
right,
So if we have the space for you at the old library, we address the musty smell, however we deal with it, do you think there's enough room, whether you're upstairs or downstairs? I
Well,
would think you
I
want to be
personally-
upstairs, right?
Kathy would need the
well,
upstairs.
You would need me upstairs.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you
Busiest
can't put
office.
that
You're the
unit.
busiest office, correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's, yeah, you would need the two busiest offices upstairs,
Yeah.
you know. But then, I mean, you got that whole parking issue over there. There's a lot of things you have to consider when
Would
you're,
you guys
when you're
address
gonna
that
do
at all
that.
with the parking? Like, let's say it would be feasible to move us over there.
Well-
What have you thought about?
How many spaces do you have where you are now?
So,
It's tight.
it's tight,
It'd be about
But
as
it-
tight
but
as it is
it's-
now.
I know.
but you're gonna start having people going onto people's yards
Yeah.
and around that little circle.
I think there's, I want to guess, if I can remember correctly, there's probably about 10 parking spaces. There's 8 in the back, and there's 2 handicap parking spaces
Yeah,
up front.
it's perfect for the handicap
Yeah.
in the front. And yeah, you have the parking in the back,
Yeah.
but believe me, people aren't gonna park in the back. They wanna get in and they wanna get out.
Mm-hmm.
Or whoever's downstairs, they're gonna go running through that office to go upstairs, and running through that office and constantly interrupting
I mean, we
whoever's
constantly use
downstairs.
6 every day. Ideally, there's a minimum of 6 cars just for employees, so then,
Well, that was my next question, how many employees will
Yeah.
actually be in that building?
so it's like on a payday, you get quite a, you know,
Yeah.
you watch the almost accidents leaving and coming, I mean, but it's, you know, right now it's slower. It just all depends on,
Well, I mean, I think what it comes down to is you're looking into choices, but I think that the choice is probably looking into something like
you know,
that.
like even looking here, like putting a wall down the middle, you know,
Yeah.
just saying.
But then, you know, if we all move down here, we could move everybody down here, but then we don't have the senior center, and then that's gonna be an issue, so. There's really not a lot of good choices, unfortunately.
We are stuck.
How's the basement up there?
If I could into this?
That's a pretty old building, yeah, in a second, sir.
What's
That's a
that?
pretty old basement, right? That's an old house. Is that
Downstairs?
musty?
I have the stuff that's downstairs is really stuff that,
It's like Board of Health
it's,
stuff.
yeah, it's stuff, that- well, no, it's stuff
Should we get a
that
swab
we
in?
know we can get rid of right away, we probably won't, but I'm required to keep it till I can have that time frame to get rid of it, so it's.
So we got a musty smell there, we got
Oh,
a
yeah,
musty
you have
smell
musty
up the old
smells, oh,
library.
definitely musty downstairs there.
Well, you have a musty smell down there because the building's hardly ever used. The doors are hardly ever open.
No, are you talking, which
No,
building?
where
You're
they
talking
are
about the
now.
Annex?
Oh, they are now?
Yeah,
Oh, down there, which is an old
Yeah,
house.
so, yeah, we don't put anything of any
There's not much
importance
ventilation down there
downstairs.
anyways, yeah.
No.
Greg, did you want to add something? Come on up.
Yes, as a member of the Board of Assessors for well over 20 years of fun, where we're at now is not really acceptable. And if the end goal is that all of the town offices are under one roof, I support anything that gets us there. And let's not forget that getting in and out of the annex
Is a
is
nightmare.
dangerous
Yes.
for everyone. And we can't minimize what that is. As long as my office has the same square footage, it doesn't really matter a whole lot where you put us. We can work with anyone. But I don't think you can minimize how dangerous it is getting in and out of the annex. And staying in the annex is a dead end in terms of the flexibility that your board has. And I'm all in favor of giving you as much flexibility as you need.
Thank you. The Board of Health has indicated the same. I mean, and really our end goal is to get everybody under one roof. It might take us 2 years, it might take us 3 years, but the end goal is to have us all under one roof.
Well, it's been 12 years, so.
Well, yeah, I know. I wasn't on the job then, Kathy, okay? It'll probably not be done before I leave too, but, so, okay, I guess what we need to know basically is, we need to know the square footage of each floor's floor plan for the annex and for the library to see how comparable they are. And I have not been in the old library in a while, so I have not. But if it's any indication, and you had mentioned West Street and the mustiness and things like that, and there is no must and there's no mold at West Street. I've been in there multiple times. There is nothing. The air is clean.
So then why
smells
would the
good.
school have to leave if
So,
it's so good?
now there is a question. That's a great question, actually. And the answer is, the school did not fit DESI guidelines for sizing anymore. Our classroom sizes were undersized. We were not equipped to expand those classrooms because of the way the building is built. So it was not feasible for an educational situation anymore, where maybe it will be feasible for a municipal, we don't know.
Well, I mean, if OSHA comes in and says everything's okay, then
But,
why don't we get moving on that,
Well, and there's where we are going to have to start
you know?
looking at things, and if we can, based on other issues.
Because it is getting to be an eyesore, especially on a scenic route.
But the building itself was just not suitable for educational purposes any longer. Personally, I would love to see all of us over there. That would be my end goal. See everybody over there, stop the lease at the annex, sell this building, be done. Put this back on tax rolls.
Well, that can be done, but in the meantime, we have to figure out.
Well, that's it. In the
Yeah,
meantime, we
really,
have to figure
that's
out.
right.
And it may not be that we're able to go right from here, there to West Street or to whatever building we decide to go to. I know Glenn's not typically in favor of us going to West Street. But
I want a new building.
he wants the new building at West Street location.
Ditto.
I agree with you.
So it might be that we have to go from A, or 1 to 1.5 before we can get to our end goal, and that might be a couple moves that we make, who knows?
But that's very expensive,
Yeah.
And I understand that.
you know, even
And I
building
think we all
materials
understand
now.
it. So
Yeah.
the minimizing the amount of times we would have to do that is what my end goal is. And to do that, we need to know what exactly you guys need to function.
Basically, my hopes would be renew the contract 3 more years and figure it out. But
My fear with that is if we renew the contract for 3 more years, we're gonna end up into a 12-year situation again. If we don't have an end time frame as to when we've gotta get something done,
Well, if you renew.
this town is known to kick the can down the street. Come on, guys.
well, I mean,
Can you deny this?
supposedly there was a plan already for the area of the West Street School to put up a building there. I mean, that's very costly. I mean, it would be probably easier owning this to add a modular and then just knock down West Street School and put a park there. But
Well, regardless of where we go, the goal is to get us all into one roof, no matter where that roof is. And would it be nice to go from where we are to where we're going all at once? Yeah, it would be. But I don't know if we can, so we're gonna look at the stops we're gonna make to our end destination, I guess. Now, you said state requirements.
yeah,
What exactly are those state
well,
requirements?
because I'm on a whole different system. I'm not on the town system. When I have I do all the voting census information, that is all strictly regulated through the Commonwealth, through the state.
You're talking a computer system?
You're talking computer systems?
Yeah.
Oh, so you need to make sure that you can be on a separate system.
Well, yeah, I have to be, and I have to be in a secure, locked place.
Right,
So it has to be secure,
Secure internet-wise or secure physically?
every way, yeah.
Well, I'm wondering what
Where
you're
do you
talking
have it
about.
now, Kathy?
It's in the office now.
In your office or out front?
No, in my
In
office.
your office, okay.
Okay. So you're still talking server?
What's that?
Are you talking server secured physically?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
that's what I'm asking.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, but secure too, with records and that, I mean, the door, you can't just have petitions where somebody
Right.
can crawl over something or
And then
whatever.
like same with mine, like, I was going through the security with the collector's office, like in the book, and it's, I like wrote it down, it needs the exclusions of or barriers such as cashier windows, lockable doors, registers. So it's definitely something that just, you know, has to be able to be locked away, security, stuff like that.
Okay.
I got a question. Any of that stuff, it's all, you could take it out and maybe move it over to the old library, so you still have it secure? Your filing cabinets and all that stuff?
I mean, I have,
Unless you got a big vault like they had at the old town hall.
yeah, I mean, and it's like child size, I won't say.
It's not a
It's
built-in.
massive.
It's not a built-in though, is it?
No, it's not
No.
built
Okay.
in, not the one that I use. And then otherwise, I just have a couple filing cabinets that will lock, but not all of them.
Yeah, and then I have one that's yay big, and then I have the machine, the systematic that needs to be taken down a bit.
But technically, none of yours are built in. They're not permanent. Okay.
No.
They're not permanent fixtures. Okay. Does anybody else have any more questions for everybody?
No, I'm good.
No, like I said, it's something to look at.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. Like, you know, say it again, I know I said it probably 2 or 3 times. It's gotta be the right thing to do, and it's gotta be feasible to do it.
Right.
That's where I'm coming from. I'm not gonna move someone just to move someone to save X amount of dollars on rent. It's gotta work.
Right.
It's gotta work for our town employees or elected officials.
Right.
It's gotta work. It's gotta make sense to do it. You know, that's what we gotta look at, so. I think that's where we are now, and I think too, as this board, you know, hopefully we can start looking at a future plan. And hopefully down the road, as other people are elected, they continue that plan. You
Right.
talked about, you know, back in 2015, you
Right.
know, so something was talked about then, but that was never carried on to board to board to board.
Right.
And as new people get elected, unfortunately, sometimes, they have different views, different thoughts, different ideas. So, you know, so those things change, where someone thought, well, this is a great idea, but 3 years later, there's different members of the board, and, well, they don't think the same thing. So now that view changes again. So I think, you know, somehow we gotta, you know, we always talk about the town and the master plan. Well, we need to look at a plan moving forward. And obviously, we know things that cost money, and that's something the town's gotta look at too. What is the town considering, you know? Maybe in the future, that's something we bring up as a discussion at a town meeting. You know, get people's input, see what people think. Where are we moving out of town? You know, it doesn't have to be a lengthy discussion, but it'd be interesting to see what people in town think and what are truly willing to do for the town, because that's what makes a difference, you know.
Right.
We can spend all the time we want and talk about building a new place, a nice place, or renovating a place, but if the residents aren't willing to support that and pay for it, that's what it comes down to, then it's not possible. So I think our job is to really see what the town people want, what the residents want us to look at down the road. I'm not talking about tomorrow, next week, I'm talking down the road, because if the ultimate goal is to say, look, we'd love to have all the town offices in one particular building, that's what we're looking at, then that's a goal we should put together and say, how do we get there?
Right.
Is it possible in the first place to do it? Is this what the town really wants, or the residents don't care whether or not we have them 2 different spots? What's the best thing we can do? And then move forward from there. I mean, that actually has a future down the road, but it's part of a plan that moving forward, as I said. Something that was talked about back in 2015, it's being talked about now,
Right.
you know, 6 years later again. So it's just, you know, discussions that need to continue to happen to make things move forward.
Right.
They don't stop, so,
Well, you guys are the voices of the voters, so
no,
gotta make it work.
we are. Well, thank you.
Have faith, Kathy, have faith.
All
All
right,
right,
well, appreciate your time.
No, thank you very much.
Okay.
And
all
if you
right.
could, you know, think of
What's that?
square footage, you figure that out for us.
I'll try to swing by this week and,
Okay,
Look
there you
in,
go.
take a
I'll give her a
look.
tape measure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I used to
Well,
carry one with me.
Assessors may have one.
Well, the assessors probably have one, and yeah, you have to, you know, that's what you have to do, walk through there and walk through the other.
Yeah,
and-
we can easily
And
go
I think,
upstairs
you
and
know,
lock the doors
I
and
mean,
see.
that would be a start, you know, to get a better idea.
But before us to do that, is to have professionals come in there and look at it and see what can be done too.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what it's gotta come
Yeah.
down
Good
to.
idea with the architect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They'll
okay,
look at that and figure it all out.
all right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Do we have any citizen participation? No? Citizen participation?
Can I ask a question as a citizen?
I'll let you.
I have no idea how much.
Come forward, Greg.
Oh,
Did you see?
I saw nothing.
well, that's an easy figure.
That never lies.
I have no idea what the total cost of the annex is to rent.
The annual
for us to
rent for the
maintain.
annex?
Yeah,
24,000 a year.
okay,
Plus, we'd maintain the building.
right, so,
Plus we plow, we've been maintaining the driveway. We
Right.
mow, do leaf, do little repairs.
did we put the air conditioning in also?
No, that was done by the owner.
So I don't, with the $28,000 a year and the additional, I don't know what the additional would roughly come to. And I would much rather see that money spent on the end game, towards the end game.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
It would be close to $5,000 to $10,000 additional for
Okay.
the yard.
Right.
Grounds maintenance.
Right. I mean, it's a valid question, particularly
it's a
since we're
valid
on
question.
camera, so that everybody knows what you're dealing with.
Right.
And it would take one property off of our maintenance rolls.
Right.
And the other issue is the rent could go up again on the next lease.
It's not gonna go down, I suspect.
No.
That doesn't happen.
But you gotta look at, and
Yeah.
we will, like you said,
Right.
if it costs to renovate the old library so it fits everybody's needs and it costs us $30,000, great. Then, over a little over a year, we'll be on the good side of it.
It's a good
But
idea.
if someone says it's gonna cost you $100,000,
Right.
well, then that's something that really
Yeah.
you gotta look at. And then we all know right now
Commercial
too.
costs are ridiculous.
Right, yes. So.
So
but
good luck.
It's something for us to look at and start we're talking about it, and I think that's it. We're
in the discovery
we need to
phase.
start talking about, things for the town
Well, I hate to
moving
give the
forward.
impression that the assessor's office will work with anyone. I'm on camera. So,
I've watched some of your meetings, yeah, you're in a
You
big
know.
spot.
thank you.
Thank you.
For everything.
Yep.
It's much appreciated. All right, Mr. Martin, you are up. What do you got for us?
I'm gonna hold town administrator to the end after everything else, okay?
All right, so we're gonna go to departmental reports. Has everybody had a chance to read them?
I have, yeah.
Yes.
Any discussion about them? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion that we accept all the departmental reports.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye.
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 3 ayes. So now we have maintenance warrants. What do you got for us?
Okay, you have 4 warrants in front of you for signature. You have FY '20 warrant number 84 in the amount of $145,541.37. That is a bill paying warrant. Then for fiscal year 2021, you have warrant number 9 in the amount of $403,483.11, dated August 6th. That is a payroll warrant. You have warrant number 10 in the amount of $178,177.39. That is the maintenance warrant that goes along with the payroll warrant. And then you have warrant number 11 in the amount of $593,929.16, and that is dated August 13th, and that is a bill paying warrant.
Is warrant number 84, is that the last one of?
There is one more that is left open for any potential adjustments that have to be made for '21,
Okay.
and hopefully that will be closed out by the end of the month.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve and sign maintenance warrants number 4, 9, 10, 11, and 84.
9, 10, 11.
9, 10,
and
11,
four?
84.
No, there's
No
no
four.
one for.
No 4?
No, 4.
No four.
That's right, I had to see. Or
Just
was
can't
that
read
the
your own
zero?
writing?
I can't read my own writing.
84.
Is there a second?
Well, what,
The
what?
9, 10, 11, and 84.
Okay, I'll second Rick's, motion.
Is there any discussion besides Rick not being able to read his writing?
I need a new prescription.
Alrighty. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so then we have the 61A removal request.
Okay, this has to deal with the Laflamme property. We discussed it a little bit at a prior meeting, whether or not you want to exercise your option to purchase or not. And the board had indicated that it will not be exercising its option under Section 8 of Chapter 61, and that you're waiving the 120-day waiting period. And there is a form that needs to be signed by the board indicating its notice of intent not to exercise option under Mass General Law, Chapter 61.
You got it?
So, want to read that?
Okay. Got the right one here? That one. All right, the notice of intent to exercise our option under Mass General Laws, Chapter 61. You're hereby notified that the town of Granby has duly notified in writing, in accordance with the provision of Section 14 of Chapter 61A of Massachusetts General Laws, of your intention to sell land that is currently valued, assessed, and taxed on the basis of agriculture and horticulture use pursuant to Chapter 61A, and that said land more particularly describes as follows. Property, the deed book 5885, page 289, tax parcel 5B4, comprising approximately 78 acres of deed book 5885, page 291, tax parcel 5B3.2, comprising approximately 29.7 acres, collectively the property to residential zoning lots. Landowners will continue to use the balance of the property identified in agricultural or horticultural land tax lien recorded in the Hampshire County Registry of Deeds at Book 2698, page 157, and Book 8639, page 182, for agricultural land use, and therefore said balance of the land shall remain under Chapter 61A classification. Land is currently located on East Street, Assessor's Map 5-B-4, having 78.9 acres, 117.41 acres in 2021, due to lots being combined classified in 61A, 4.74 acres to be removed. Please be advised the town of Granby will not exercise its option to purchase said land in accordance with Section 8 of Chapter 61, and hereby waives the 120-day waiting period during which such option may be exercised. In witness thereof, we, the undersigned Select Board of the town of Granby of Massachusetts, hereby set our hands and the seal of the town this 16th day of August, 2021.
Are we still in agreement with that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's
All right, then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept and adopt the notice to intent not to exercise our option under Mass General Laws, Chapter 61.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
The motion is to approve and sign as read.
Chapter 61A as read.
Yeah.
It's the notice of intent not to exercise option.
Mhm.
Is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
3 ayes. Special town meeting warrant. What do you?
You have before you the warrant for the special town meeting that the board has scheduled for the 20th day of September at 7 p.m. to be held at the Granby Junior Senior High School, East State Street in Granby. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $18,679 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the tuition for Smith Vocational Agricultural High School student or take any other action in regard thereto. That has to do with the tuition for a new student that I've been told will be attending Smith Vocational, and I believe it's in communication field that isn't offered at Pathfinder. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, borrow a bond $5,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the FY22 services of the Pioneer Valley Mosquito Control District or take any other action in regard thereto. This was an appropriation that was not put on the annual town meeting warrant and is needed in order for them to do the monitoring and testing for Triple E or West Nile virus in the town of Granby. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, borrow a bond $18,761 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of increasing the FY22 assessor's personal services budget or take any other action in regard thereto. That has to deal with that when the clerk for the assessor's office ran and became the town collector, they hired another person and do not have enough funds to cover that salary for a full year. Okay?
Yeah.
Article 4, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to instruct its representative in the general court to file a home rule petition for a special act to read as follows. An act relative to the town of Granby. Elected official recall. A, recall description. Any holder of an elected office in the town of Granby may be recalled therefrom by registered voters of the town as herein after provided. No recall petition shall be filed against an officer within 6 months after he/she takes office, nor in the case of an official subjected to a recall election and not recalled thereby until at least 6 months after the election at which his/her recall was submitted to the voters. The recall of an elected official will consist of a 3-step process. B, initiation of the recall affidavit. Step 1, the affidavit. Any 100 registered voters of the town of Granby may initiate a recall petition by filing an affidavit with the town clerk. The affidavit shall contain the name of the official sought to be recalled and a statement of the grounds of recall. Subparagraph 1. The select board may appoint a temporary interim town clerk to handle the recall process and election should the town clerk be the elected official subjected to the recall. C, the petition. Step 2, the petition. If the affidavit process has been completed in compliance with the requirements of Section B of this chapter, the town clerk shall provide a sufficient number of copies of petition blanks demanding such recall, printed forms of which shall be kept on hand, to the voters who made the affidavit. The blanks shall be issued by the town clerk
and bear the clerk's signature and official seal. They shall be dated and addressed to the Select Board and shall contain the names of all persons to whom issued, the number of blanks so issued, the name of the person sought to be recalled, the grounds of recall as stated in the affidavit, and shall demand the election of a successor to such office. Such blanks must be provided within 5 town hall business days during regular business hours. Said recall petition shall be returned and filed with the town clerk on the 28th day after the requesting voter receives the blank petitions from the town clerk. In the event that the town hall is not open on the 28th day, the petition may be filed during normal business hours on the next town hall business day. The petition, before being returned and filed, shall be signed by qualified voters of the town, equal in number to at least 25% of the qualified voters of the town as of the date the affidavit was filed with the town clerk. Every signature must be accompanied by the signer's place of residence, giving the street and number. The registrars of voters shall forthwith certify the number of signatures. D. The recall election. Step 3. The recall election. If the petition shall be found and certified by the registrars of voters to be sufficient, the town clerk shall forthwith submit it with the certificate to the Select Board. The Select Board shall forthwith give written notice to said official of the receipt of said certificate, and if the official sought to be removed does not resign within 7 calendar days, shall order an election to be held on a day fixed by them, not less than 45 days, no more than 60 days, after the date of the town clerk's certificate that a sufficient petition is filed. However, if any other town election is to occur within 90 days after the date of said certificate, the Select Board may, at their discretion, postpone the holding of the recall election to the date of such other election. If a vacancy occurs in said office after a recall election has been so ordered, the election shall nevertheless proceed as in this section provided. E. Statement of grounds. The reasons for which a recall may be initiated include, but are not limited to: 1. Lack of fitness, insobriety while performing official functions, involuntary commitment to a mental health facility, being placed under guardianship or conservatorship by a probate court. 2. Conviction. Conviction of a felony involving moral turpitude, conviction or bribery or extortion. 3. Neglect of duties. Repeated absences from meetings without just cause. Just cause shall include, but not be limited to, illness or regular vacation periods. 4. Misfeasance. Performance of official acts in an unlawful manner, or a willful violation of the conflict of interest law, open meeting law, or other ethical violations. F. Duties of the incumbent. The incumbent shall continue to perform the duties of his/her office until the recall election. If the official is not recalled, he/she shall continue in the office for the remainder of his/her unexpired term, subject to recall as before, except as provided in this act. If the official is recalled in the recall election, he/she shall be deemed removed upon the election of his/her successor, who shall hold office during the unexpired term. If the successor fails to take office within 5 days after receiving notification of his/her election, the incumbent shall thereupon be deemed removed and the office vacant. G. Recall of election ballot. Ballots used in a recall election shall submit the following propositions in the order indicated. For recall of name of official. Against the recall of name of official. Immediately at the right of each proposition, there shall be an oval above which reads, vote for one. The voter, by filling in said oval, may vote for either of such propositions. Under the propositions shall appear the word candidates and the direction vote for one. And beneath this, the names of candidates nominated as hereinbefore provided. In case of other forms of balloting, appropriate provisions shall be made to allow the same intent of the voter. H. Voting results. If a majority of the votes cast on the recall question is in the affirmative, then the candidate who received the highest number of votes in the special election to fill the vacancy shall be elected. If a majority of votes on the question is in the negative, the ballot for candidates need not be counted. I. Candidates to succeed the elected official. Any elected official sought to be recalled may not be a candidate to succeed himself, herself. The nomination of candidates, the publication of the warrant for the recall election, and the conduct of the same shall all be in accordance with the provisions of law relating to elections, unless otherwise provided by this act. J. Appointment of recalled or resigned official. Any person who has been removed from an office or who has resigned from office while recall proceedings were pending against him/her shall not be appointed to any town office within 2 years after such removal or such resignation. K. Effective date. This act shall take effect upon its passage. The general court may only make clerical or editorial changes of form to the bill unless the select board approves amendments to the bill before enactment by the general court. The select board is hereby authorized to approve amendments which shall be within the scope of the general public objectives of the petition, or take any other action relative thereto. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof at 5 or more public places as of the bylaws before the time of said meeting. Hereof fail not, and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting aforesaid. Given under our hands this 16th day of August in the year of our Lord, 2021. And the recall language was the language that was included in the new bylaws that were presented before this board at the general bylaw hearing, and that were to be addressed at the June 5th town meeting. However, that did not occur. However, due to the fact that a recall needs to go in front of the legislature, I felt that we should probably get this moving and get that process going so that when the bylaws do come back in front of the town, hopefully this will already be approved by the legislature.
So I have a question. Are we being charged to use the high school for our meeting?
We did have to pay to reserve the room, yes.
Okay. Alrighty.
I'll make a motion that we approve the special town meeting warrant as read by Town Administrator Martin.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just adding a bunch of stuff to your pile.
Thanks.
You'll thank me for it later. Do you have both copies?
Yes, you got both, okay.
right, Mr. Martin, you said you wanted to do town administrator after. Would you like us to do old business before town administrator?
Please.
Alrighty. So for old business, we have our fire chief search.
Okay, I think it was maybe 2 meetings ago, I had given the board a proposed advertisement for the position of fire chief for the town of Granby. I had also given the board a copy of the current job description for the fire chief, for the board to go through and review and make any suggested changes to the ad or the job description. I did give it to Chief Cherwinski as requested. I think, Jen, you requested that
I
it go
did.
to him?
Make sure that the job description was fairly accurate.
And he had made a couple of suggestions on page 3 of the job description. It says responsible for mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery from natural and man-made disasters. And he is questioning whether we should also transfer the emergency manager responsibilities to the fire chief. And under the 4th paragraph up from the bottom, responsible for the enforcement of the state fire code and related town ordinances, prosecutes offenders when appropriate. According to Chief Cherwinski, the fire chief must complete Department of Fire Services Class 801 non-criminal ticketing in order for us to be able to enforce certain things or issue tickets for people in violation of state statute.
So, in regards to the enforcement one, would we need to add that to the requirements?
It's not necessary, but it is suggested if we're gonna do non-criminal disposition ticketing.
Do they have that now?
Have any of our former chiefs?
We did have it when it first came out, because that's why you appoint me as the municipal hearing officer, in accordance with that, because I had gone to the academy in Stowe when this first came out. And it mainly relates with housing violations and things of that nature. And you do a non-criminal disposition ticketing, okay? I had gone to the course. It was done by Bob Ritchie from the Attorney General's office was the training. That is still in effect. However, unless a fire chief attends this class, which nobody ever told us, that they can't issue those type of tickets. So, I don't know when that changed, but I know we started this back when Russ Anderson, I think, was our chief. And I think that's when it all started to come into place where they would go and the fire chief and the building inspector would go and inspect the properties in conjunction with each other, and they would have to sign off on annual occupancy or building permits.
Is it a CMR or is it in the MGLs?
I think it's a CMR.
Okay.
Just for the audience to know, CMR stands for Commonwealth of Massachusetts Regulations versus MGL, which is Massachusetts General Laws.
Sorry.
No, I'm just pointing it out to the people who love to watch your meetings.
Way back when, we used to have that ability in the police department to write CMRs. I know a lot of the old timers, not me, but write the speeding violations so the money comes back to the town instead of to the state.
And those are probably non-criminal dispositions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
They're still out there.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Glenn?
Yeah, like a question, I read through it, and the first part I have a question in regards to is, A minimum education required is a bachelor's degree in fire science or related field and more than 10 years progressive experience in the fire department that provides fire and emergency medical services with a minimum of 5 years of command rank or equivalent combination of education and experience. What is equivalent combination?
That would be a decision of the board at that point in time.
Yeah. I mean,
We did the same thing with the police chief. You do the same thing.
It was pretty much the same wording.
You know, you're leaving it open for people who may not have a bachelor's degree, but has maybe 20 years' experience instead, okay?
well, okay, but the only thing I know with the police chief, we wanted a minimum of 5 years of supervisory experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 5 years of command rank.
Or, that was, it wasn't, we didn't, that was a requirement, that wasn't or, you could combine that with other things, they had to have that. And the fire chief, I mean, the police chief. I'm just saying, so if we're looking at someone to run a department, I would like for that same person to have 5 years of command rank.
So do you want to take out or equivalent combination? That's in a lot of job ads that I saw when I was.
No, I agree.
When I went nationwide.
I don't have a problem taking someone's 20 years of service or in an apartment and say that person has made him or herself up to the rank of captain, taking that in lieu of a college degree. Because that person moved up to the ranks, that he or she is an administrator at that point, has 20 years of experience. I can see that. But if you're looking for someone to, I look at there need to be a qualification stand that we're setting for someone that's going to run a department as far as rank structure, or as far as someone that's been in that type of position where they've had, supervisory experience with people under them. We're asking for someone to run a department. I want to make sure that person that's going to be running a department has the experience of supervising staff beforehand.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I'm going to counter it with this. So, someone comes into firefighting late in the game.
Yeah.
All right? Let's say they were a supervisor and supervised 100 employees.
Yeah.
They may not have met 5 years of command rank, but they would still have supervisory experience. Is that where you're going? And I think that's where the equivalent combination of education and experience. They may not have the experience of the supervisory position inside the department itself, but they may have had it outside the department.
Which is okay. So, I mean, what I prefer is one thing, but however, if someone was like you said, someone worked for a company and was a manager for 10 years in that company, and they supervised, as you said, 100 employees, yes, to me, that's someone that has that experience who has supervised people before.
Okay, and
And
so I think
people
that's where
underneath
we're
them.
looking at equivalent combination of education experience. I think that's where that piece comes in.
But
Is that what you were questioning?
But you don't, it says, no, because it should state that we require that someone has at least 5 years of command rank or 5 years of supervisory experience.
Okay, so
It can be either or, to me.
That command rank or
Right.
supervisory
Right, to me,
instead of equivalent?
Right, to me, equivalent would say that, I worked for a company for the past 10 years. So say for myself, I decided to move into be a firefighter after 10 years at the sheriff's department. But at the sheriff's department, I was, a captain or something like that. And I had experience of being a supervisor for those years. That's something I would say is equivalent or something to look at. Or someone worked for another company, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
But that experience as a supervisor is there.
Okay, so you want that added in?
Technically, yes, doesn't have to
Command
be.
rank or supervisor?
Right, doesn't have to be a command rank. Command rank to me is more of a military structure type employment. Firefighter, police department, sheriff's department, and, that's a command piece there.
Minimum of 5 years of supervisory experience? Take out command rank? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I would look at that, right.
And then just get rid of equivalent combination of education? Take out that second half of that?
I think when you look at, no, because I don't like this. I think if you put in for that, they have to have the 5 years of either command rank or supervisory experience of supervising employees or staff, or that should stand alone. I think when you look at a minimum education required is a bachelor's degree in fire science or related field and more than 10 years experience in progressive experience. That can be someone, like you said, who's been with the department for 20 years, has moved up through the ranks, and that person has an associate's degree maybe, and that person is a lieutenant or a captain or something of that rank. So to me, that's something you could consider to be equivalent combination. That person didn't have his bachelor's degree, but however, that person had a, say, associate's degree and 20 years of service working for a department.
Okay.
That's the part I'm looking at. But I think there needs to be an actual requirement for a certain amount of years
Supervisory.
supervisory experience.
So just add in.
You don't care about command rank, you just supervisor.
And I think it should be.
Do I care about command rank? Yes, I do. However, for people to get for the process application, I definitely want, someone should have experience. And supervisory experience should be shown.
Okay, so basically you want to take minimum 5 years at command rank out of that.
No.
That sentence, and create a new one called a minimum of 5 years at command rank or supervisor.
A minimum, I would say, 5 years, a minimum of 5 years at a supervisory level, or 5 years at command rank preferred. I would like command rank to be preferred, but I don't want it to be the only thing. Well, I would accept someone that had,
Okay.
Can I make another caveat on that, Chris, before you read that? And I would like somehow put it as a full-time officer. Or firefighter.
I don't think that person has to be that
I don't
way.
think it'd be a full-time. It'd be, I mean, you would assume that someone that's a full-timer would have more of the experience.
Somebody's there
but-
40 hours a week versus somebody who's there weekends and a few nights. I don't think has the same experience as somebody who's there full-time.
Well, there's call firefighters that beg to differ with you.
Yeah.
Certainly on
I
that.
know
We've
there
got
are,
some
but
call firefighters that would
Yeah.
beg to differ.
you gotta
with
give the
that.
full-time guys the,
Well,
some
they're
credit.
given a lot of credit. This is an application for a job. This is what someone puts into it for a job. Doesn't say that person would be hired. It just seems they meet the qualifications to be interviewed. So I don't think that person should have to be a full-time employee or a full-time firefighter.
Do you want firefighter to be their primary career? I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Their primary career, not,
No.
I think we need somebody who's gonna be, if they're taking over the department, he or she needs to be, head's gotta be in the fire department.
I think, to me, I think it sends a wrong message to our call force.
And no, I love our call force, and I think that we should be trying to encourage them. I understand that, but I think somebody who's working at full-time has more experience to become the day in, day out operations of the fire department.
You may have someone that, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but also I'm not agreeing with you. At the point where you could have someone that's been in the fire department full-time for 7 years. You could have someone that's been on call for 25 years, that's probably seen more fires and been in more fires and more calls than that person that's been there for 7 years. And has been the commander on scenes. So I don't put,
All right, let's relate it to another department.
I just look at experience.
The sheriff's department, you've had your summer help there working for the last 20 years at the sheriff's department. Would you want him to become a sheriff? I think the full-time guys working in the jail, in the police department, in the fire department need to and deserve some credit for doing what they do.
I'm not taking credit away from them. at all, Rick. All I'm saying is
And
that.
I love our on-call guys, that can't do this department without them, but I think somebody's gonna run this department needs to be in it.
I'm gonna weigh in.
Well, hang on, Jennifer, for a
Okay.
second. We're not hiring anybody here. This is,
I know the job description, I understand
this is a
that.
job description to give somebody opportunity to put in for a position, a job opening. That's what all this is. And I don't wanna, that's something I wouldn't wanna rule out someone that may have 20 years, 25 years, 15 years, of a call service, or some that from some other department somewhere that may have been part-time for 20 years, but that part-time, he responded to more car accidents, fires, and, emergency scenes than a person that's been full-time for 10 years. I don't think he can let that happen in an interview process.
I'm gonna weigh in with, I would like to see this as standardized of a posting as possible, so that we are not pigeonholing ourselves. I want to be able to attract the best candidates that we can, and I think if we start putting restrictions on who, not restrictions, if we start putting severe limitations, then we're going to lose out on a potential. So I would like to make this as industry standardized as possible as it goes out for posting. We can then refine what we're looking for when we start getting resumes in, and we can work through it that way.
I'm assuming that's what you did when the one in front of the personnel board, you got several job descriptions and made this up.
Well, I still believe
No,
that it should be in there
I
about the experience.
with you.
I have written down a minimum of 5 years' experience and I have full-time in here right now, command rank or supervisory level preferred. If you want to take out full-time, just read a minimum of 5 years' experience at a command rank or supervisory level preferred.
No, supervisory level or command rank preferred, I think is how.
No,
wanted it.
command rank is preferred. However,
Supervisory is mandatory.
right, supervisory, 5 years of supervisory experience is good too. Or you can just say,
Oh, we made this complicated.
well, it's not complicated. I just want, in a way that it states that you have someone applying for this position that has supervisory experience. There's a minimum qualification of that experience. And to me, that's at least a minimum of 5 years. That's exactly what we did for the police chief, was a minimum of 5 years.
So you want to leave it the same as it is now, except put command rank preferred?
Supervisory experience, command rank preferred.
Right, it doesn't say anything about supervisor experience right now.
It says 5 years experience as a supervisor.
It's 5 years at command rank. 10 years.
You're looking at the job description, we're looking at the posting, that's where we're getting
Oh.
confused. We're on the posting. So basically, we're just adding supervisory experience, command
Yes.
rank preferred.
Yeah.
Jesus.
5 years at command.
Okay, well, 5 years. So you want that to read with a minimum of 5 years supervisory level or command rank preferred.
No.
Or equivalent combination of education and experience.
I would just leave it at either 5 years supervisory experience or 5 years at command rank.
Which way do you want it?
I wouldn't say preferred, because
5 years at supervisory rank or command rank? Or how you want that worded?
All right, the way I understand where this is going, it says, minimum education required is a bachelor's degree in fire sciences or related field, and more than 10 years progressive experience in a fire department that provides fire and emergency medical services with a minimum
Okay, now
of 5 years
Stop, wait,
supervised.
Stop there. Now insert or equivalent combination of education and experience. Insert that piece there, and then followed by required 5 years of supervisory experience.
I was creating a separate
Oh,
sentence, and then everybody told me no, they just wanted to.
I didn't tell you no. I think the equivalent combination of education and experience applies to time of service and education. That combination there you can work with.
At a supervisory.
But it should be a minimum of at least 5 years experience of supervision.
Required.
And that's the
Required.
non-negotiable part.
Right.
I don't
All right, so
disagree.
you want a statement that says a minimum of 5 years' experience at a supervisory level required.
Required, yep.
All right, so leave that scratched. Okay.
Are we good now?
Yep.
Now I'm gonna be a pain and have you read that again so that we're all clear on exactly what it says.
Okay.
Thank you.
So what we have, as amended, minimum education required is a bachelor's degree in fire sciences or related field and more than 10 years progressive experience in a fire department that provides fire and emergency medical services or equivalent combination of education and experience, period. New sentence. A minimum of 5 years' experience at a supervisory level required, period.
Yes.
Yes.
Think we're good on that now?
Yeah. Like you said, you may have someone that worked 4 years as a supervisor here, 1 year somewhere else, that's fine too. Or, someone just that they can show the experience as a supervisor, that's all.
Okay. Next question. So, I will be advertising this on the Fire Chiefs Association of Massachusetts. I will be advertising it in that service that Chief Trulinski indicated. It's called the Index, I guess, which is
It's like-
The
nationwide.
national?
And then we're gonna put it in the Beacon. And do we wanna put it in the Worcester Telegram or anything like that, or the Globe, or do you think those three
I
would be
think
enough?
those three should cover it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I would assume if you are a firefighter looking for a type of position, you would be going to those sites.
Well,
I
I would
don't
hope
know.
so.
I'm not
I would
a
hope
firefighter.
so, but I don't know.
Well, that's what I would imagine, those are sites you'd be going to look.
Right, I
You wouldn't be
would
looking through the,
imagine.
you wouldn't be looking through the paper.
Right.
You never know where people work.
No, but I think if
We
you,
can go out to Indeed if you want.
No. Thank you.
How long do you want this open till?
Until we hire someone. Is that an
Well, the
option?
ad has to run for a certain period of time.
Is that an option? Indefinitely?
I think we should at least run the ad for 30 days.
Yeah, minimum 30.
I think we run it for a minimum of 30 days. We always have the
Reevaluate.
option to repost it. But I would say a minimum of 30 days.
Okay. All right. And you want me to make the change to the job description about that course 80, Department of Fire Services?
Yes.
Course 801?
So, so my question, do they have to have that, or is that something they can obtain while they're chief? Because it's a course.
In order for them to do non-criminal disposition ticketing, they have to take that course.
No, and I get that. So,
They don't have to have it when they come in,
but they have to take that course.
but at some point under
They
the
have
job
to.
description, we want them to have to take it.
Yeah.
Under their job description.
Right, so I would add in there within the first year of service or something like that.
Sounds
It's not always given that course.
It's not always given? Okay.
How
Sounds like
often-
an
how
important
often
course.
is
It's
the
not always
course
given.
Do you know how often it's given, Mish?
Next one isn't for, and didn't have it for like almost a year or something before I even figured COVID, so it doesn't get offered. I'm hoping it gets, obviously, usually twice a year, but we haven't had one in a year and a half.
Within 3 years? Within 2 years?
Within 2 years.
Two.
Within 2 years.
2
should
years
be
fair?
appropriate.
I think that's fair to say.
24 months.
You'll at least
I mean,
have one course within 2, okay.
I think within 2 years, I'd hope that, well, but that's something though too, if that requirement's within 2 years and it comes back, well, they haven't offered the course, well, that's,
Then yeah.
That's
If they can't take the
understandable.
course, they can't take the
Right.
course. It's,
but,
okay.
So is that all set?
I'm good with that.
Yes.
now page 3.
Now, again, the issue is the salary range.
Yes, that's an issue. I was gonna bring that up.
When we have it at 90,000. When you go out and look out there at all the ads, I see they average between probably 100 and 135.
For small towns, too, also?
It's not a breakdown, it's an average.
They really don't give the size of the communities that much. But if you're gonna advertise in a nationwide search,
You have to be competitive.
yeah. So the question becomes is, what are we gonna look at? Do I wanna raise that to 100,000 plus or minus? Do I wanna to be negotiated depending upon qualifications?
I would like to be negotiated.
Yeah, I like to be negotiated that, and to Rick's point too, I mean, I get that, but I'd like our salary to be compared to other towns our size. You know, so for instance, if the town of Munson has a fire chief and that fire chief is making 98, why are we offering 110?
Because we need somebody.
You know, but, right, but.
There's a lot, is that the max, did
I
he
don't
start
think
at
that's the
that, or has he got
appropriate
20
answer.
years on the job and he's making 98?
Right.
Yeah, we don't
So
know
I
those.
think, you know, what
questions.
ours says, 90,000.
Plus or minus. I would like just to be determined, to be negotiated.
Well, you need to have a starting point, because that's what they're gonna look at. They wanna see a starting point.
So you want the starting point to be 90 or 100?
I just think, well, we meet in the middle, 95. So that could be the starting point. Because what was the contract, what was it before? Last time it went out, what was it?
90.
90, okay, so you figure the past 3 years or so, cost of living, we say we're at 95 now.
Yeah, that's,
If you look at that, that's fair, right?
that puts you close to 100, right?
Yeah, well, it's starting, it's just saying that's what it starts at,
We're
doesn't say
gonna
that's
start
what,
negotiating.
doesn't say
there.
that's what the person's gonna make.
Well, I say
so.
95,000 and you put plus or minus.
Plus or minus, right. So you can go up
I'm
or
okay.
down.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that, that's.
Okay. 30 days, okay. Any other items on this one?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
So how soon can we get that posted?
Tomorrow good?
It's like it's past 7 o'clock. Can you
Well,
get it out there?
the problem's gonna be is Beacon, I'm sure FCAM can probably get it out there fairly quickly. I'm sure that other one that Chief Troinski talked about can get it out there. Beacon, I don't know when their next publication date is. I think that's the only one I'm not sure of when we're gonna be
Okay,
able
so
to get it in there.
Within, by the end of next week, be a reasonable,
I have to go out and go on
at least for
site.
2 or 3.
I can try.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so if you find out the Beacon publication is,
2 months from now.
yeah, then we can't wait 2 months. But they say, well, our
It's
publication.
a monthly publication. I just don't know how quickly you need the ad in to be able to get it.
But the point I'm making, so
Yeah.
if they say, no, we can, our publication, it goes out in 2 weeks, I do it now and just extend our deadline 2 weeks. So it runs for, instead of 30 days, it runs for 6 weeks.
Okay.
And in 2 of the places, not in 30 days in the other place, for instance.
Right, so it's all running the same.
Yeah, so we can at least get it out there, get people interest in it.
Okay. Correspondence, basically we had a request from Fogey for tomorrow night's concert to move the telephone poles again so they can park out in the field. I already did ask David to go and take a look at that and to move it. We have a email from Deb Matthew, basically complimenting how well the tree crew did in trimming a tree across from them from the storm. We have notification that the Community Compact Cabinet grants are open again. Personally, I'm gonna let the board know that I'd like to take a year off from applying for any grants, just to catch up on all the green community stuff, all the municipal vulnerability program grants, meta grants, all these things that have been sitting out there, get those all closed out. Then I can feel comfortable with going forward with the next process. Okay? Because I know Jay would want us to keep going and going and going, but everything got dumped on my lap, and I'm trying to get everything settled and taken care of beforehand.
Well, why don't we review it in 6 months, see where we are? I don't want to be passing up grants that are valuable to the town, that may come up, so why don't we reevaluate it? Like, I know, being on the board, a lot of the stuff that falls in your lap to make sure that it's done and everything's accounted for and the monies are being spent correctly, and when it's, in the paperwork and documentation is being done correctly and on time, because if not,
Well, the green community, I have to put in my
Right.
final report.
You don't get-
I wasn't involved in any of the projects.
you don't get
but
our
here I
money.
am.
It becomes our burden, if you will. So I'd say, why don't we reevaluate, reassess that in 6 months to see where you are with everything. But again, I wouldn't want us to miss on something that's
Because I do
worthwhile.
know under the MVP program, the action grant, we gotta bring those stormwater bylaws forward to town meeting. I
Yeah.
was gonna discuss it and try and get it on this meeting, but we're not ready for that. Green communities, I know we just finished a project. Now we have to do our final report for the whole grant process. I wasn't involved. They want pictures, they want everything, and they want all this reporting. It gets a little daunting when you weren't involved with it from the very beginning.
And that's the point I was making, Chris. So why don't we do this? Why don't we say, if the board's okay with it, why don't we say 3 months from now, you update us on all our grants, where we are at that point with everything. We can reassess it. If we need to extend that time frame out a little bit, we can always do that or move forward. So that way you can let us know all the grants that we have pending and where we are with each grant 3 months from now.
Okay.
We can set a date.
Well, how many hours do you estimate that will be spent on dealing with these grants?
For myself? Well, today I was putting together a invoice for one of them, and it took me probably about 6 hours. Just to put it in for the requisition, for the first half. Then we still have the second half, and that's basically the stormwater bylaw grant.
It's taxing, it really is. I remember reading some of the grants and seeing what's involved to qualify, not just after you qualify for the grant's one thing, but making sure that you meet maintaining, making the criteria of everything moving along, because if not, you did all this, but they could come back and say, well, we're not giving you the X amount of money because you didn't meet the requirements of the grant.
Yes.
Now we own that money,
Well, yes, that was my thought process, and I'm probably gonna say something that's gonna open up the biggest can of worms ever.
Go ahead.
But, given that one process, it took you 6 hours, maybe it is time to deal with that grant writing position and make it a grant writer, grant administrator, whatever, grant doer, and free you up. I mean, I'm sure we could find better things for you to do with 6 hours. Just saying.
Well, I think with that said, Jen, I think that's when we can talk about, 3 months from now, like you can update us where we are with the grants and things like that. And
When you're ready for the next budget season, because within 3 months, you'll be in budget season.
yeah,
Right, so that's the 3
that
months
all works out.
great.
You'll be in budget season at that point, because 3 months from now, you're talking November, and November is the start of the budget process.
Yep.
So,
So if you could just keep an informal running total of how many hours you're spending on this?
okay.
Thank you.
Well, part of it is still a little bit of a learning curve, be honest with you.
And I agree, but I still think that we could utilize your time better.
Plus, there's another issue that we have is one of the projects that we did under the green community was putting the lights on the second floor of the high school. Well, we had entered into a 5-year contract to pay for that cost over a monthly amount over 5 years. Somebody closed that account on me, and now they want $86,000 of the unpaid balance of that work.
Somebody closed the account?
Yep, I got a bill in that says the account was closed, and I'm trying to find out who closed the account. And I'm a little perturbed about it.
So we're expected to pay $86,000 like now?
Yep, right now,
Now, what do you mean the account was closed? Was money being withdrawn from the account on a regular basis?
on a monthly basis, I was getting a bill for $1,745.65, which was 1/60th of our share of the cost to put in those energy-saving fixtures on the second floor of the high
So
school.
we're
Wait,
paid
how
in
much
60
did
months, right?
I need you to stop. What? How much did that project cost us?
Our share?
Yeah.
Our share was about $90,000. Then you add on the incentives from National Grid, so I think it came in about $130,000.
Okay.
Okay? And what we had done is we entered into a program where they bill us for the cost of the project over a period of time.
Right, so we're not paying it all up front?
So it was 60-month repayment program. So it's about little over about $1,700 a month. I was getting billed, I was paying. Yesterday, 2 days ago, no, last Friday, I got a bill in, or Kathy opened a bill that said, "This is your final service bill. You now owe us $86,000. And I'm trying to figure out who canceled that bill.
Who had the authority?
That's what I'm trying to find out. So,
But when was,
I'm being devoted to that for another energy project that has put us in a bind at this point in time.
but I guess, so my question though with this is that, at what point, so my understanding is that the payments were being made, the payments were coming out of account X. At some point, account X was closed, according to them. When did the payments stop receiving the payments? We're making them monthly, does it
I'm
just?
still making, I just made one on a monthly bill.
So it's
Then
not, they're
2
not
days-
saying our account is closed, like the town accounts, they're saying,
This
Our account
service
is down?
account, okay. We have about 25 individual electric accounts throughout the town of Granby. Okay? Each one tied to a meter at a site. Okay? Let's use an example. West Street School. We had those two 20-mile-an-hour flashing lights. Each one of those had a meter. Each one of those is a separate account to the town of Granby that I have to pay to National Grid.
okay.
So, the account that we're using to charge us back or to pay for those energy costs was the flashing light account for the high school. The 20-mile-an-hour light.
Okay.
We were paying $1,700 a month. I budgeted it in my budget for FY '21. I was gonna do it for '22, all the way through. And then, like I said, it was like $1,700 a month, making my faithful monthly payments, because that's what I agreed to. Then I get a bill that says, for that account, for that flashing light, this is your final service bill. You now owe me $86,000.
Could this have anything to do with when they attempted to switch out the
I don't know.
not working light?
I
with-
don't know if they pulled the meter and turned the meter in, which would effectively close the account,
Okay.
which puts me in a bind now, because they closed it without knowing what was going on with that account.
Right, so unless we can get that account reopened, we are stuck with an $86,000 bill.
Bingo.
And Any more pleasant news for us?
It's, I wanna know who closed that account and why.
Well,
Or who
so
had the
do I.
authority.
I have an email out to our rep. Don't know if she's on vacation again. You send an email,
Our
you're
rep
not sure. At
Electrical.
National Grid.
National
National
Grid.
Grid, okay.
Okay, and I'm trying to figure out how we can get around this.
Well, yeah, because only certain people have the authority to close out accounts.
I
Make
would
it-
presume
Or
so.
make changes to it.
I
When the
would
meter's turned
presume
in,
so.
That would be I would,
I am guessing that's borderline criminal, whoever did that.
Okay, I don't know, but all I'm saying is, it put a crimp. It took a while to pick Kathy's jaw
I was
up
gonna
off
say,
the
she
floor.
hasn't had a heart attack, she's still with us.
But again, I think it comes down to, before we jump to conclusions, let's get all the information, all the
Yeah.
facts.
And that's what
together.
I'm trying to do,
Yeah, I agree.
but I'm just saying, again, another energy project, now my time's taken up with that,
Exactly.
because,
I gotta figure out how that got canceled, yeah.
yes, and how now
How to
I can go
reinstate it.
about keeping that on a payment plan, instead of having to pay the full amount of the
Right.
thing in 1 year.
Right, well, maybe it's just an error on their part, it was a billing error or something, that happens. But we'll find out, as I said, we'll investigate,
Oh, yeah.
I said we, but you'll investigate it and have more information and facts for us.
I don't see rainbows like that. I get mad.
You know, I mean, like I said, obviously,
I get it, Glenn, you know, I agree,
Yeah.
I agree.
but if someone
It's frustrating.
closed the account who didn't have authority to close the account, then National Grid shouldn't have closed the account.
Well, that's the problem I'm having, I'm trying to figure out how we go about doing it. And if it comes down to it, if it's a town of Granby account, then I think it should come through this office that closes, no matter where it is, that account has to be closed by this office, period.
Absolutely.
It's
No,
a
I-
town of
I think
Granby,
that's
it's a town of Granby account, it's using the town of Granby's tax ID number to be tax exempt, then it should come through this
through this
office,
office. No,
as far as
I
I'm
will agree with
concerned.
that.
So,
All right, what other news do you have for us?
I have 3 rentals. I have Brown Ellison soccer fields.
Do they add up to $86,000?
No, they don't. Nice try. We have Brown Ellison soccer fields by GAA Soccer for August 17th through November 15th. I think it should be 2021, Monday through Friday. Select Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Arrival time, 4 p.m. Departure, 8 p.m. Number of people, 100, using the back and front soccer fields for practice and games. Then we have a Dufresne rental, Greyhound Options, for Sunday, October 17th, 2021, arriving 8:30 a.m., departing 5 p.m. Maximum number of people, 200, liquor, no. And basically, that is for the pavilion and area in front of it. Then we have a class reunion picnic on September 11th, 2021, arriving 12 p.m., departing 7 p.m. Maximum number of people, 100, liquor authorized, no. And it's for the parking lot area, open field, wooded areas on either side of the open field and the pavilion. And that's that one. Now I have my stack. Okay. First one is, I have, as we are close to closing out the FY '21 books of account, I would like to do an engagement letter with Scanlon Associates as the independent auditor for fiscal year 2021. The amount of the fee will be $20,000. However, if we find we've hit the magic $750,000 federal grant number, because it'll be another $2,500 to $3,000, and we're not sure, because with all the COVID-related grants that were been issued by the government, we don't know if we're going to hit that $750,000 figure. So it may be $20,000, between $20,000 and $23,000 to perform the service. Does this board wish to enter into an engagement letter with the Scanlon Associates for fiscal year 2021?
Sophie receives over $750,000 in grant.
At a couple thousand.
It'll cost
Those
between
costs additional-
2,500 to 3,000 to do the
Additional
extra.
funds, yeah. that makes
And the
sense.
paperwork that has to go and be filed under the single
Because
audit act.
Probably changes the criteria at that point,
Yes.
that's the ceiling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright. I'll make a motion that we enter back, into an agreement with Scanlon and Associates.
Okay, and normally it's the chairman who signs it along with myself as the town administrator, so.
And I'll add on to that this board allows the chairperson to sign authorizing as such.
Is there a second?
I'll second that. Sorry, still reading.
Okay. Is there any further discussion after you've been reading?
I'm done reading. No.
All right. In that case, all in favor?
Aye.
That was top one, Chris, or bottom one?
Last one. Oh,
You
that's-
pick. Doesn't matter. You're more important than to the top one.
I just did. I'm gonna add, is this already been signed?
No, Rick still needs to sign
Okay.
these.
All right, and those been signed?
Those are, yeah, I'd sign those, yes. those
Okay,
are
so
all
I'm just gonna
set.
add everything that's been signed here. Okay.
Now the next bad news. We had received a letter or a notice from the Internal Revenue Service indicating that we owed them $89,000 in penalties and assessments. All it said was for tax year 2017. Tried calling the IRS. You get the automatic phone answering machine. You go through the menu, then it would say, the waiting time is a long period of time, please call our next business day, and it would hang up on you. Didn't give you a chance to leave a message or a number to call back, any of that stuff. All I remember, it was notice number CP215. Called 3 or 4 times, kept getting the same message. So I went online and typed in CP, notice CP215. And it comes back, it's just a notice of a penalty due to failure to file tax forms. Okay, well, still at a quandary as to what it was. I ended up contacting a company and was talking with them about what are these notices, and they said it has to deal with the 1094C and the 1095C under the Affordable Care Act. Went back and I researched, and yes, the last time the town had filed those forms was in 2016, because we were using a piece of software that we had to purchase specifically to do that. When we purchased that software in 2017, those forms were no longer being generated by that software. So we didn't file. We didn't think we had to file anymore, because that was that time frame when Trump was coming into office. They were saying it didn't apply, we didn't have to do this, didn't have to do that. Well, come to find out, we are still considered a large employer under the Affordable Care Act. In order for us to go back and be compliant under that act, we need to file forms for 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. We could have $89,000, $90,000 worth of fines for each one of those years. When I talked to this company, for $6,500 a year, they will get us into compliance. That would be about $26,000 over the 4-year period of time. To me, like I said, I'm out of my element. It's beyond me, and I admit it freely. I take the blame because it occurred under my watch for the forms not being filed. And I would like permission to be able to enter into a contract with this company to take care of this issue and get it off the town's back.
So,
Go ahead.
is it 6,500 you said?
6,500 per year.
So what does that 6,500, it means they're just gonna take care of all the.
They'll take care of all the filing requirements, okay? So that the only thing that we may end up having is having a penalty for failure to file on time. However, if we wish, they have a tax attorney who is a former IRS employee, and for another fee of $3,000 would represent us in front of the IRS to try and get the penalty waived.
So that would be at 3,000 per year as well?
Yes.
So, before we spend $10,000 per year for the past 4 years, maybe we can have contact with the IRS and see if it's feasible at this time to waive the penalties. However, we'll pay the tax.
I'm saying for us to get the forms filed accordingly, to get people properly classified with the IRS and to determine what forms were actually needed to be filed for each of those tax years. I think the $6,500 investment for each year, because it's $500 a month plus $500 for the filing fee, that we at least incur that and then look at seeing if we can petition the IRS on our own to get any penalties, late fees, whatever, waived on our behalf. But we still need to file the forms.
All the forms and everything need to be
Yes.
filed. And
Do we have an idea of what the IRS, so the penalty itself is 89,000 that they're, so if we file the forms, do we know what the penalty would be for a late filing?
I'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
Right, because the penalty's not $86,000, that's the tax with the penalty.
It's the failure to file.
That's the penalty for failure
It's
to
the
file.
failure to file and late fees. Okay.
So, no, I get that, so so there's no dollar amount that, we could owe more than that.
No. Because the issue with that is this. They base their penalty assessment based upon the number of W-2s we file, okay, on a tax year. We don't have the equal number of required 10 Affordable Care Act forms as we have employees, because we have part-time substitutes, we have seasonal, we have people who do the DARE program, the kids who did that, things of that who don't qualify for coverage under the Affordable Care Act, and therefore do not require to have a form filed on their behalf.
So
Okay, it's usually full-time employees, 30 hours a week and above.
So we're not paying any additional tax, we're just paying for non-filing and penalties.
Yes. It's no tax. It's failure to file and then late fees, penalties, assessments from 2016 or 2017 forward.
But that's all 4 years, or is that one, that's just
That's
one?
That's 1 year.
That's 1 year.
That's for 2017.
We haven't hit 2018, 2019, or 2020 yet.
Yes.
The IRS hasn't caught up to that. So we're looking at about $360,000, potentially.
Mhm.
Well, you're looking at about 400,000 when you tack on the other. the other amount. The other 10 grand a year, or at least 6,500 a year.
Yeah, I just did it at roughly
Yeah.
89 because.
No, it'll be 10 grand to hopefully not pay 360,000.
Right, so it would cost us 40,000 for the 4 years,
Well, first of all, I
if I'm doing
mean,
that math correct.
yeah, so we have to file, that's what we have to do to
Right.
start with, so that's the 6,500 right there. Could be
Yes.
additional $2,500, $3,000 add.
If we want them to
Right,
petition on our behalf to waive any other penalties outside of the
right.
file.
So I would say
Let's do the 65.
let's file all the necessary forms, so that we need to do that ASAP,
Yes.
so we're
And I'm
there.
already talking to our payroll vendor to see if I can get the information out of the
Right.
past files that this company would need
We need,
to do that
Then-
on our behalf.
And then after that, we can, I don't want to say the word fight, but we can fight in
We
regards
can-
to
we
the
can-
penalties and interest.
We can petition
Well, petition
on
is
our
better.
behalf.
Right.
so if
To
we
have the-
petition on our behalf and they say no, do we have the option of asking this company, or is it, once you've been denied, you're denied?
That I don't know. Those are future, further questions I would have to have answered.
Okay, because I think before we petition to have them, I think I would like to know if it's
What we can do is, like Glenn says, spend this money, the 6,500 a year, to get the
get the
forms
filings
caught up.
done.
And then we reevaluate. Do we want to use them again to represent us in trying to get any other fees waived?
Right, because we could file all the forms and we could ask them to waive all the fees. And they could say yes, or they could say no. If they say no, then we'd have a lawyer from them follow up on it and say, okay, what, that,
See, I
people
don't
do
know
that.
what
People
type of
that,
argument they would use that they're successful at getting this.
Right, and that's my question, if you're denied once, can you,
no,
Try again.
if there's, I say thousands, but there's thousands and thousands of Americans who owe back taxes and the government settles for less when an attorney's involved, because the attorney knows the laws and stuff like that, and it seems to go better sometimes when someone has an attorney, so we'll have to look at it when we cross that bridge when we get there, I
let's take care of the
guess.
filings first.
Yeah. We have to file, by law, we're required to file,
Yes.
so we'll have to file. I mean, regardless, we would have paid for that anyways, to have someone file the paperwork correctly and all that part that goes with it, so.
Okay.
We
Well,
need to, I
just-
think, move forward with
So
that.
you giving me permission to at least enter into the contract for the 6,500 per year?
Yes,
Yeah,
but I
pick up
have a
those-
question
yes.
before we do that. How are we ensuring that this doesn't happen again?
Because I'm gonna put it in my budget and use this company from now on to do this filing on our behalf.
Okay, I'm just wondering if we had the game plan going forward, so that we're not dealing.
That is my game plan. at
I
this
like
point
the
in
game
time.
plan, okay, just asking.
The cost of doing business, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's 6,500 is a lot cheaper than the lawyer's fees that I've seen
Yeah,
come in. So
that's my,
put a 2 in front of that maybe.
So roughly right now, we're looking at about between 28 and 35,000, depending on what happens,
Potentially.
so that's where we are right now.
Yep.
Minimum
We-
26.
Right, we don't know what will occur after,
Yes.
when it's all said and done, and that we'll start talking about that, but as I think
Once
we
we
said
get these
earlier,
dealt with.
first things first, we need to file, because that's what we're supposed to be doing in the
Yes.
first place, so.
Yes.
Get into compliance and then ask for forgiveness.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, do you want it in a motion?
Yeah, just to allow me to enter into the agreement with Trusaic for their services regarding 1094C and 1095C filings.
I'll make a motion that we enter that agreement with Jurassic. Forms 1094C and 1095C.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chris, can we get like an update on this monthly, where it is?
Where we're at
Yeah,
in that process
just make,
until
put
it's
on our
done.
agenda from this day forward, every every other meeting, every, whatever it may be. Every
Second
month.
meeting of the
Yeah,
month.
second meeting of the month, that we get an update to where we are with it, the progress that's taken place.
Okay. Then the next thing is our next meeting would normally be Monday, I think September 6th. That is Labor Day. Are people available for meeting on
Yeah, the 7th.
September 7th?
I am.
Yeah, I'll make it happen.
I am.
All right. Are we keeping it at 5:30?
Yeah.
I think it works, unless you
I
have
don't
any
know, I'm
reason
just
why
asking if
not.
it still works.
Okay.
Okay, well, the next question is we're probably gonna be doing an executive session on the 7th also. So, do we wanna make our regular meeting 6 or 6:30?
Let me make it 6:30, so we have enough time.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, and that way too, if we're finished, we can, you know, we can, people need to use the restroom and stuff like that before we
Okay.
go into another meeting or something.
All right. So we'll have an executive session at 5:30, and then we have regular session at 6:30.
Okay.
Tuesday, September 7th.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in my calendar.
Yep.
Um,
Just gotta remember to check it.
With it getting late, do you want to go into executive session, or do you want me to postpone this one?
You got somebody behind you who wants to speak. She raised her hand.
Who?
Kathy,
Kathy.
would
Oh,
you
I
like to
can't see
say
her.
something?
Two other things under correspondence. It has to do with the Granby Preservation Society. They asked for if they could do a craft,
I didn't see that.
on
I read that somewhere.
I
When did
read it
that?
in the,
right.
That was
I
one
read
of the
it
things you
in
sent,
my
right?
email, but I
Yeah.
didn't
And
see
they
that.
also want to know, besides that, they want
Oh, it's in
to know
another
if they
folder.
have a third tax. The bylaws say you can only have
2.
That was in a different folder, it wasn't in correspondence.
Okay. There was a lot of folders here, so it could've got lost in the paper shuffle.
Do you need to see the 2 emails?
I think I remember them, but
I remember when she started talking about it.
I believe that in March of 2020, they were going to have this craft fair, but they would.
it was the one that was canceled for COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not opposed to allowing GPS to do either of the things.
No, I think the craft fair is just postponed and.
Right, I would consider that a continuation of the
Yeah.
other one.
I don't see a reason why.
Waive the fee for $200 typically for.
Yes.
Did we waive it last time?
It is nonprofit.
That's a
Yeah.
nonprofit.
So,
And just be aware that if they're having a third tax sale, that other people, when you're opening it up, to other people.
I'm considering this one technically, yes, it's a third, however,
No, they're having.
the craft fair and then a third tag sale.
yeah.
Correct, it's a
They
third.
have two already.
It's a third, and I'm probably gonna make a lot of people angry, but I feel that as a nonprofit and what they're doing for the town, it definitely deserves to have that exception made. Whereas,
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think you make a lot of people angry by saying that, but.
well, I think I'll make people angry that like to have tag sales,
Well,
and if we're only gonna allow them two,
well, it's case
But
by
we still
case.
have people holding tax sales who don't come in and get permits still.
and I agree.
If someone
And I'm
wants
not
to
gonna lie,
petition this board for a third
then they can do
tax, so
so.
they can do so. That's fine.
But it's not, I don't want it to be seen as precedent
No.
set that we're going to allow 3 or more in any given year.
Anybody has the ability to petition for a third one if they wish.
Right. So in that case,
I will move that we allow Granby Preservation Society to hold their third tag sale September 10th and 11th from 8 to 4, as well as the application for the craft fair fundraiser, which would be Monday, October 11th, 2021.
Where are they having it? Do we know?
They usually have it Kellogg Hall,
Yeah.
behind Kellogg
In
Hall.
the parking lot
The
behind
parking lot.
Kellogg.
Well,
is-
actually, the one they were gonna have before, and this should be stated, because I think they added the information in it.
This
they
one's
were
the-
gonna have it inside, and it said, and that they had.
This one says outdoor.
Okay, I just wanna make sure, because if they do have it inside.
That's Board of Health issue.
That's, well, it's, the building inspector and.
This one
the,
says outdoor.
Fire department, because they're not, allowed to have anything without them going to looking at first. Am I right?
Yeah.
I just want to state that we let them know it can only be held up.
Yeah, it does state craft fair fundraiser outdoor.
There's no, just to kind of check, there's no plans by the town for any type of activities for September 11th? I know it's the 20th
It's October
anniversary.
11th.
This is September.
Oh, for the tag sale? Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought you meant the craft fair.
No. That would happen up in that general area.
11th is, the reason they probably want to do the tax sale the 11th is because the church is having
That
Dino
Dino Fest,
Fest.
said Dino Fest.
All right. I just want to make sure that the town's not, or any, has
Oh, I didn't remember.
plans for that
I
at
don't
the
think there's
center.
no,
Okay.
Commemorative.
9/11
Okay.
I don't think that's the right word.
ceremonies going on.
I haven't heard anything, but I wanted to make sure,
I
ask
haven't
about that
heard
because
anything.
I know it is the 20th anniversary, so it was, someone was planning something, or I would imagine it to take place there.
Having something on the 12th, so they did not coincide, taking anything away from Dino Fest.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want me to redo the motion, or are we good with what I did? Since we had all that discussion.
No, I think the motion's still the same.
I'm asking if you guys still
Yeah.
remembered it.
I do. I'll second the motion.
All right, is there any further discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
But with that said too,
Here you go, Chris.
Just throw the second step.
I'd like to maybe next meeting somewhere discuss if there's something that we can do to somehow recognize that with our police department, our fire department, September 11th. This is the 20th anniversary of what occurred, so I think, a lot of the police officers, firefighters, a lot of people died in that day, so I don't know if there's something we can do to kind of, I'm just thinking as far as our public service, as a fire department, a police department, kind of recognize that piece there, so. Just something to discuss whether or not we do or not, but.
The Fire Department Association is trying to come up with something, because we have a metal object from that day to display at our station, and they're trying to see if they can get everything for that day. Not sure, they haven't confirmed, saying yes, because they're waiting for, as you know, the ducks in a row to see if
Yeah.
it's possible.
So that we should keep that on the table. If you could keep us updated on that, that'd be great, because that'd be something I'm sure the board members like to be part of.
Mm-hmm.
That occurs, and we can get that information out there.
All right, was there anything else that you had for us?
All you have is 3 appointment letters that the board needs to sign. One for the, I think it was for the police chief.
Yep.
One
And the
for the interim,
Deputy
fire
interim
chief.
fire.
deputy and interim fire
Okay.
chief. And then the letter to the other candidate,
Other candidate.
finalist.
Okay. Was there anything after that?
No.
All right, are you guys up for executive tonight, or do we want to reschedule it?
What do we think it's gonna take?
I'm
Six.
thinking,
I have no idea.
Well, the only thing is, our next meeting is
it's executive.
it's gonna be just as long. We have an executive, and that's starting at 6:30, it's gonna,
Do you want to just get it done with?
Yeah.
well, we just do it now. I mean,
Well,
if
get it
not,
done.
we're just pushing it down the road, so
Yeah.
we just might take care of it now then.
Are you gonna stay late now or stay later next month?
Right, that's what I mean, 'cause we're
Yeah.
not, we-
So you'll be going to executive session only to come out to
Adjourn,
adjourn the meeting.
correct.
Yep.
And you're going in under 30A21-2 for the purposes of negotiating contract.
So roll call vote. Silva, aye.
Sexton, aye.
Mullier, aye.
All right,
All right.
so we are in executive
Take a-
session.
A quick 5 minutes.
Yes, we.